What's up, guys? Con here with RideShare Tips. I'm here with Ezra from the RideShare Genius. If you haven't checked out his channel, definitely subscribe because he has some great content on there on everything RideShare related, right?
Mostly.
Mostly. Yeah. Okay, well, today we're going to talk about DoorDash. I actually just signed up for it last week. I've been experimenting with it for the past week. I just signed up, and Ezra here is an expert on GrubHub, DoorDash, Uber Eats, and he's going to help talk about it today. Ezra. What do you got?
Well, thank you so much for having me. And, I don't know if I'd call myself an expert on DoorDash.
RideShare Genius. Close enough.
Okay. Well, I would encourage you guys to be a RideShare Genius and take your RideShare game to the next level and use amazing strategies to increase your earnings. But in terms of DoorDash and GrubHub, I do have some experience with those and some other delivery apps too. I try to get on board with every app I can because I feel like it allows me to cast a wider net and be open to more delivery opportunities. And also, sometimes one app might be slow and another one's busy, or maybe one app, a customer complains, and even if it's not your fault, maybe your account gets deactivated or something like that. So I think it's really, really important to get signed up with a lot of different apps. I know you had been doing Uber and Lyft, right? So Is GrubHub your third app?
GrubHub is my third app. I just signed up for... No, GrubHub is my fourth app. I just signed up for DoorDash and then GrubHub today. So right. I think it is good to have all four of them because I've been doing DoorDash this whole week, and there are times where I'm waiting like 30, 40 minutes in between each trip. Mm-hmm. So I think it's best to be logged into both, right? Or even all four sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, if you can, sometimes the reason to only be logged into one app is if you're going after a certain incentive and have to keep an acceptance rate. But if you're not, why not just log into multiple apps and look for the best order opportunities that you can get?
Yeah. So
what's your experience been like with DoorDash so far?
So far, it's pretty good. I like it. I like the fact that you can see how much you're going to make. So when the order comes in, it says how much the order is. Mm-hmm. Like say it's $50. I can quickly calculate 15% of that because that's typically what I've been getting in tips, plus $5. So it's good to know where with like just doing Uber, you never know how much you're going to get. Mm-hmm. So this is good to know. You have upfront pricing. And I typically haven't been accepting anything under like $20, but you said you like, what's your minimum?
I mean, it depends on what time I'm working because obviously there's going to be more orders at mealtime. So I'm going to be more selective at mealtimes, especially like Sunday nights are the busiest time to deliver food. So Sunday nights, I'm looking for $50 orders and up, maybe even more than that. Because that window of like 6 to 9 p.m. when everybody's watching their HBO shows and ordering DoorDash that's the only opportunity for that type of order volume all week. So I want to capitalize on it. I don't want to get stuck doing a fast food order when I could be doing, a beautiful steakhouse order.
Yeah, that's good to know. I mean, the biggest fare that I've had so far was like $70, and every other one I get is like a fast food order, like from Jack in the Box or McDonald's, and accepted one of those, probably one of my biggest regrets in life so far. Mm-hmm.
And and when you say $70, obviously you're talking about the order value.
Yeah.
So what DoorDash does is it shows you the total value of the order before you choose to accept an order or decline it. And we never know exactly how much a customer tips, but the way the customer experience works on the DoorDash app is by default, the customer is going to tip 15%. So they actually have to go out of their way to tip more or less, and sometimes people do that, but overall, like you said, personally, I think I average between 10 and 15% in tips every shift with DoorDash.
Yeah, that's not bad. And then the other thing with DoorDash is they decide how much they're going to tip the 15% before the food gets delivered. So when the food, it's kind of good and bad. We were talking about this because as a driver, like, what's your incentive to hustle and like please the customer more because they had already put in how much tip they're going to give you.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of a weird system. And I was actually hesitant to deliver with DoorDash for a while because I thought of the customer side of it. And I was like, if I'm a customer and an app's asking me to tip someone before I even get my food, I'm going to be hesitant to give a super generous tip because it's like, what have you done for me lately? I have no problem tipping someone generously. Like, if they put in the effort, and I try to tip very generously, especially since I became an Uber driver, to be honest, whenever I go out to eat or take a ride anywhere, because I have a much better understanding of what it's like to work in the service industry, and I appreciate that. But, as a customer, when I first saw it, I'm like, who the heck is going to leave me a nice tip before they even have a positive experience.
Yeah.
But then I decided, you know what, let me try it. And what I realized is that people do as they're trained by the app. And these apps, like, they have behavioral scientists and stuff that work on them, and the DoorDash app is cool for drivers in that it suggests a default tip of 15%. And what I realized is that people do tip that amount. And what I also realized is that it can be hard to keep high customer ratings on DoorDash, and maybe that's because the way I like to think about it, to quote Spider-Man's uncle or whoever it was, but I believe he said, with great power comes great responsibility. So I already have this great power, if you will, of getting a generous tip from the customer. So, since, like Con said, we're looking for these bigger orders that'll have bigger tips, and I accept one of those, and if the customer's left a generous tip, now I got to follow through on that great responsibility and deliver the experience that they're expecting from that $20 tip or whatever they left, which is a great experience. So if there's any issue, I'm going to contact them.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons I love delivering food is because nobody's ever upset when you get food. People are really happy when you give them food.
Yeah.
When we do rides for Uber, sometimes someone's going to like their girlfriend's house, they don't want to go, or they're going to the airport, or they don't go to work. People aren't always thrilled to be taking a ride. But when people get food, I can genuinely say that I don't remember anybody like not smiling or being happy in some way when I handed them a bag of food.
Nobody's ever upset about having a meal.
Yeah, so when I hand off the food, I make a point to always thank the customer too, because even though I don't know for sure they left me a tip, they probably did. Mm-hmm. And another reason I love food delivery is like the customer interaction is very limited. With Uber and Lyft, sometimes if we're on a long ride, I'm sure there's some awkward silences, forced conversations.
Yeah.
And with food delivery, it's literally like, and here you go, here's your food, have a wonderful day. So, there's none of that element. You don't have to be on your game as much.
Exactly, yeah, and you don't have to worry about keeping your car clean and sucking up to the passenger, so hoping to get a good rating. It's a way different ball game than UberX and Uberpool, because you don't have to put up with people and pretend to be nice if you're in a bad mood.
Right. There's definitely different challenges, but also different rewards. So do you think we should check out a couple maybe example orders?
I was going to say, let's pull some up your orders here. Let's see what you got.
Okay.
Let's start with the bad ones. Let's see what you typically wouldn't accept.
Right. So obviously when you go to the DoorDash orientation, they're going to give you the impression that, you should kind of just accept every order, and sometimes they'll offer small incentives. It depends on your market, and they're always experimenting with different things, but sometimes they'll either offer small incentives like an extra $2 per order, or even a guaranteed hourly rate if you keep a certain acceptance rate. And my problem with that is that sometimes DoorDash will offer just such terrible orders, and it's not, there's not some evil man like pulling the strings behind the scenes like, let me give Ezra this awful order and see if he accepts it. No, it's just that no system is perfect, these software systems, and maybe at the exact moment that this request comes through, I'm the closest available driver. But for example, we're looking at an order that would send me from Santa Monica all the way down to Torrance for an $11.50 order. It says 19.9 miles. So who in their right mind would accept this order? No one, right? I mean, that looks like a nightmare, right?
Definitely would not. You would make more with Uberpool with that, going 20 miles.
Yeah, don't accept orders like these. And then here's another one, pretty similar, 16 miles away, just a $15 order. So these things do come up a lot, and it's really important that we take all the information that is presented to us and think about how we can apply it to be more successful. So in our case, like Con said, it's showing us the order amount before we accept it. And since customers generally stick to that tipping suggestion, we do want to look for those bigger orders, because that's the way we're going to earn more as dashers, and we're going to be driving less, we're going to be happier, and have less stress in our lives. Everything great is going to be happening if you follow my system. Just kidding. But it is going to be better than chasing these terrible orders. So for example, for a good order, right? Let's take a look at a really promising order, since we do have the ability to choose which orders we accept and which orders we don't. So, last night I was in Santa Monica and got this order request, right? And we know, well, first of all, it's 1.6 miles of driving. I was pretty much right by the restaurant. I'm the blue dot, pretty much right by the restaurant when I accepted the order. So it looks easy enough that, it should be a good order, and it should pay out nicely and not require that much work.
Yeah, not at all. Only 1.5 miles away. So what do you do when a request isn't coming in? If you have a lot of downtime, what do you do?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely one of the biggest challenges that we face as drivers, whether Uber, Lyft, or delivery. And I'm going to, every situation is different. So first I'm going to evaluate the situation. So what time is it? Is it mealtime? Should it be busy right now? Where am I? Am I in a residential area? Am I near any restaurants that are partnered with these apps? Because the closest drivers to the restaurants are going to be the ones getting the order request. So if maybe you just made a delivery, whereas maybe, with Uber, you could pick somebody up at a house nearby and take them somewhere. But with food delivery, you got to get back to where the restaurants are. So everybody's situation is going to be different the way your city is kind of laid out and, where everything is. So I'm going to, try to get closer to restaurants. And then if I'm only logged into DoorDash, I'm going to log into some other apps, open up GrubHub, open up Postmates, so that I open myself up to more order requests.
Cool. And then the cool thing with DoorDash is they have a scheduling program where you get to schedule what dashes you want to do. And then you can dash now if you want to, but if there's too many drivers in that area, it won't let you log in, which is a great thing because then it prevents oversaturation of drivers.
Yeah, it is a nice feature that basically the number of DoorDash dashers is limited in every area so that not too many dashers will be online. My experience is that it's not a perfect system, and generally, going to be busier when it's mealtime, so dinner time, lunchtime, or really all day on weekends, people seem to order food. But it is nice that it does that. However, like I said, with my experience, I find that if it's so slow that you can't log in, you're probably not getting orders if you are logged in.
Okay.
So
what are the best times? Like in the morning time? I know breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but how is breakfast? Do people order a lot of food for breakfast?
BLD. There are orders in the morning, especially because a lot of drivers focus on rides at that time. Mm-hmm. And, delivery can be a nice option in the morning. I've delivered for all the delivery apps in the morning. And one of the reasons I like it is that if I'm doing rides with, say, Uber, I'm going to be going all over town. And in LA, once you hit like 8 a.m. or cross a freeway or something, you can get stuck in some serious traffic.
Oh, yeah.
So the nice thing about delivery is that in general, no delivery is going more than like 5 miles or so from the restaurant. Mm-hmm. And it really allows you to avoid the traffic problems that you might encounter with RideShare. It also allows you to stay in a smaller radius. So say you have an appointment maybe in a couple hours. Yeah. And with Uber, I might end up in San Diego and they're like, guess I missed that appointment.
Yeah.
But with the delivery apps, you really have much more control about where you're working.
Yeah. Okay, so let's look at some more of your better trips that you had.
Yeah, so better orders, my strategy of going after big orders, it usually is successful for me as long as you can get that order volume, and I keep my order volume up by having a lot of apps open. So, here's an example of an order, and it probably didn't even take me that long to do it.
Yeah, you were just logged in for that long.
Yeah, that means I was just logged in from 6:07 to 7:01, but this delivery, $19 tip on that delivery, and that's because I'm looking for orders with bigger values.
Yep.
Here's another one. One delivery, I'm logged in for 40 minutes right there, $15.84 tip for a $20.84 payout.
Not too bad.
That's not bad. I could go on and on. Here's one that paid out $21.52 for 33 minutes of work, and it was probably less than that. So there are a lot of great delivery opportunities. When I do work with DoorDash, I'm generally making a lot more tips than I do in delivery payouts. And obviously there's other strategies. Some drivers might try to turn over smaller orders more quickly and just make more in delivery payouts, but I like to go after the tips. It's just what I enjoy doing.
Yeah, it's all about the tips. And do you wear the uniform that they give you? Do you wear the shirt?
That's such a great question. So
because I haven't been.
Okay, so I don't. So those shirts and the hats and stuff, the main reason I don't wear them is that would limit me to kind of only working for DoorDash. If I showed up to a GrubHub order with a DoorDash shirt and hat on, the customer might be a little confused. They might even write in and be like, it was a little bit weird. My driver showed up in a DoorDash shirt. So I don't do that. I also, I'm not here to advertise for free for these companies.
Exactly.
And I'm not really sure if there's a way to quantify it, But when we put on a shirt and a uniform, pretty much, you're almost becoming an employee, and because you're wearing, exactly what they want you to wear, you're going exactly where they want you to go and all that. And I don't know what the effect would be on the customers, but if a customer thinks that you're an employee, they might not feel like they need to tip you, or even though they already tipped you. But
I don't think the customer cares as long as you have their food. They don't care what you're wearing. You could show up naked. Well, not naked, but I don't think they care what you're wearing. And another thing I wanted to ask you is when you're pulling up to the restaurant and there's no parking, what do? Because I've been parking on red curbs a lot. Hopefully when I run in, the food's already ready so I can run back out to the car before I get a ticket. What's your experience like with parking?
Yeah, so it's case-by-case basis. One reason I like to work where I do is that I know the area very well, and I know little secret places to park, alleys, loading zones. Remember that we're essentially working as a commercial vehicle in a way, so I always try to take advantage of loading zones. If I'm going to like an apartment building or something, or a business center, I'm going to talk to like the valet. Hey, I just need to make a delivery real quick. Can I park here or there? Mm-hmm. And also, I'm actually considering all of those factors before I accept or reject a delivery, because if I know that a restaurant is in a really difficult location to access, I might not want to accept a delivery, even if I think the tip might be big, because it just might not be worth the trouble.
Yeah.
So, definitely avoid parking tickets. I've gotten one parking ticket while driving for DoorDash. I actually tried to pay the meter, and I still got ticketed the day after Thanksgiving.
Yikes.
But I hope to not get any more.
Yeah, but you can write that off, right? When you pay the tolls?
I've heard that you can't write off parking tickets.
No, not tickets. I mean, just paying the little parking
paying
meter.
the meter? Definitely. You can definitely write off paying the meter.
So what's been happening to me a lot this past week is I've been getting a lot of low fare requests coming in, and I've been declining probably more than like 70% of them. Is that going to affect my rating? Or not my rating, my account?
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a concern, and I was worried about this too, because we don't want to lose access to the DoorDash platform. And DoorDash encourages us to keep a 25% acceptance rate. There's all sorts of reminders throughout the app and other things. But, as you saw with some of those orders that we looked at, they're just not profitable. And when I would get those, I was really discouraged. And I thought, how am I supposed to keep this acceptance rate when I keep getting these terrible orders that aren't going to make me money? So I started experimenting with just not worrying about that and only going after these orders with the high value like we discussed to try to get these bigger tips. And I thought, the worst case is, maybe I lose my account, but if I'm worried about keeping my account, what good is it going to do me to chase these unprofitable orders? That's not going to do me any good either.
Yeah.
So I just started experimenting with only accepting orders that I thought would be very profitable, and my acceptance rate soon dipped very low as 0% actually. I don't know exactly how they calculate it, and I never had a problem with my account. I kept my customer rating as high as I could. It's at 4.81 right now, which I think is pretty good. They say you need to keep a 4.3 on DoorDash, and I've never had any problems because, for the most part, working as an independent contractor for all these apps, generally we can accept or decline any request, or with Uber, accept or ignore a request. And obviously they want us to accept all of the requests, but we should only accept the ones that make sense for us.
Exactly.
And so my experience, I don't want to encourage anybody, to do anything without you knowing exactly what you're getting into, but I haven't had a problem with my account. I do keep a high customer rating, so any order request that I do accept, I'm going to do an awesome job on it and provide the customer a great experience.
Yeah. And if you do get deactivated, it's not our fault. You can't blame us.
But I do encourage you to make the best decisions for you and not, worry about an acceptance rate, which is only going to cause you stress and cause you worry.
Cool. Well, that's it. Guys, thanks for watching. Huge thanks to Ezra for coming out today and talking about it. If you have any more questions about DoorDash, Uber Eats, or GrubHub, or Postmates, right? You do that one as well?
Yeah, Caviar.
Feel free to comment down below. Ask us anything. We'll be more than happy to help out. Again, be sure to subscribe to his channel. He's got some great content on there. Until next time, drive safe, guys, and we'll see you out there on the road.